Hello, lovely viewers. I welcome you all to another episode of MediShack. As usual, I go by the name Evans, and in today's video, we'll be looking at the anatomy and physiology of the nephron. The anatomy and physiology of the nephron. In short, we'll be looking at the various segments or parts of the nephron and what actually goes on over there. So let's get started. So as we are all aware, the nephron is the smallest and functional unit of the kidney. So the nephron forms part of the kidney. In fact, that is where the real work of the kidney actually happens. So from our basic anatomy, we understand that the kidney does a lot of functions. So the kidney helps in regulating acid-base balance. It helps in controlling our water balance in our system. The kidney helps in removing waste or toxic substances from the blood. The kidney does a whole lot of functions. The kidney also helps in producing some hormones like erythropoietin, which helps in blood cells production and all of this. But one of the main functions that the kidney does is urine production, and this actually happens in the nephron. That's why we say that the nephron is the basic and functional unit of the kidney, where the real work of the kidney takes place. So today, like I said, we'll be looking at the various segments of the nephron and what actually happens over there. So we all have two kidneys, and each kidney has about 1 million nephrons. So each kidney has over 1 million nephrons. So with the nephron, the first part of the nephron is what we call the renal capsule. The renal capsule. So actually, the renal capsule is made up of two components. The renal capsule is made up of two components. So within the renal capsule, we have what we call the glomerulus, and then the second component being the Bowman's capsule. The Bowman's capsule. So what do they do? So because the kidney or the nephron is what filters blood from the body, which contains some amount of toxic substances, with the help of the afferent arteries. So we have some arteries that helps in transporting blood from our body into the nephron. So those arteries, we call them the afferent arteries. So with the help of the afferent arteries, blood is able to move from our body or our system to the nephron, specifically the glomerulus. So the glomerulus serves as like a sieve. It has some capillaries where blood filtration takes place. So actually, the first part of the renal capsule, which is the glomerulus, serves as a sieve. So it sieves out tiny substances, very tiny substances that are useful to the body. It sieves out these tiny, or it filters the blood. So realize that large particles such as blood cells and then other large substances that cannot pass through are being retained back to the blood, and then smaller substances will then sieve through. Then after that, where does the filtrate gets to? So the filtrate now will go to what we call the Bowman's capsule. So the Bowman's capsule is like a cup shaped something, like it's like a cup where the filtrate from the glomerulus is being collected. So that is the first part of the nephron, the renal capsule. Now from the renal capsule or from the Bowman's capsule, where does the filtrate goes? The filtrate then moves to the second part of the nephron, which we call the proximal convoluted tubule. Proximal convoluted tubule. In our anatomy, we know that anytime we hear something called proximal, it means that something which is closer, it is closer to another thing. So we say proximal convoluted tubule because it is the first part of the tubule or the nephron that is closer to the filtration point. So what actually happens at the proximal convoluted tubule is reabsorption. So the higher percentage of water is being reabsorbed at the proximal convoluted tubule back into the blood. So we can say about 65 to 70% of water is being reabsorbed from the proximal convoluted tubule back into the blood, and other useful substances such as glucose, amino acid, salt, some electrolytes such as sodium, and then chloride, and other useful substances are being reabsorbed. So most of the reabsorption is done at the proximal convoluted tubule. So why is this important? So that the body does not lose water, too much water, or the body does not lose these important nutrients in the filtrate. So reabsorption needs to take place. Now, from the proximal convoluted tubule, we will then move to the next part of the nephron, which is called the loop of Henle, or somebody may say the Henle's loop, the loop of Henle, or the Henle's loop. So over there, what happens? So the loop of Henle is also part of the tubule. So with the loop of Henle, we have two segments of it. We have the descending aspect before we have the ascending aspect. We have the descending part of the loop of Henle before we have the ascending part of the loop of Henle. So with the descending part of the loop of Henle, that place is permeable to water. So if you say something is permeable to water, it means that more water can be reabsorbed over there. So it's permeable to water, and then also permeable to some electrolytes such as sodium and then chloride. So reabsorption also takes place over there. Now let's come back to the ascending part. The ascending part is mostly impermeable to water, so water find it difficult to be reabsorbed at the ascending part of the loop of Henle. But other useful electrolytes or ions are being absorbed over there. So reabsorption actually also takes place at the loop of Henle. Now from the loop of Henle, where we will go to is the distal convoluted tubule. Distal convoluted tubule. So as we are all aware from our anatomy, distal means something that is far away from another thing. So we call it distal because it is a point that is a bit far away from the filtration point, that is the renal capsule. So distal because that place is far away from the filtration point. Let's not forget the proximal convoluted tubule is closer, or yes, is closer to the filtration point, but distal because it is a bit far away from the filtration point. Okay, so what happens at the distal convoluted tubule? So with the distal convoluted tubule, selective reabsorption still continues over there. But what happens over there is that we have some special hormones that helps in the reabsorption. So we have hormones like aldosterone, which is produced by the adrenal cortex. So we have aldosterone that is produced by the adrenal cortex, which helps in reabsorption or retaining of what? Sodium, so that more water can be reabsorbed back into the blood for the body processes. And then with the help of the parathyroid hormones that are being produced by the parathyroid gland, calcium is also being reabsorbed back into the blood for the body to use. So with the help of these hormones, more reabsorption also goes on. at the distal convoluted tubule. Then from there, where do we go? We go to the final aspect of the nephron, which is the collecting duct. The collecting duct. So in the collecting duct, that is where the urine actually is being collected before it goes out. So what happens at the collecting duct is that final readjustment or final adjustment is done to the filtrate, which is now the urine. Okay, final readjustment is being done to the filtrate. So that is what happens over there. So in the collecting duct, it makes sure that the urine is not too concentrated or is not too diluted. So over there too, there is another hormone that helps that to happen. We have the ADH, or the antidiuretic hormone, that is being produced by the posterior aspect of the pituitary gland. So ADH is within the collecting that controls the concentration of the urine, so that it won't be too diluted, it won't be too concentrated. And also ADH still controls the rate at which the urine will be secreted or eliminated. Then within that same collecting duct, we have some other waste substances that are still within the blood being secreted back into the renal tubule to join the urine for what? Elimination. Now we mostly say that as the filtrate moves from the renal capsule, or as the filtrate moves from the Bowman's capsule through the tubule, the more it continues to move through the renal tubule, the more it becomes what? Concentrated, because more useful substances will be what? Secreted or will be reabsorbed back into the blood, and as it is moving, it becomes what? Concentrated into urine. So as it is moving through the tubule and more useful substances are being reabsorbed back into the blood, it is becoming more concentrated, so that by the time it gets to the collecting duct, it is now it has now turned into urine for elimination. Now from the collecting duct, it finally moves to where we call the renal pelvis. From the renal pelvis to the bladder, then it comes out of the system. So that is what I have for you today on the anatomy and physiology of the nephron. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. In the next episode, we'll be looking at the 3 major stages or processes involved in urine formation. So all you have to do is to stay tuned, subscribe, follow, and like whatever we are doing for more lessons and tutorials. Thank you for joining me today. Bye bye.